So, the dog days of summer are upon us. It's hard to get motivated, much less excited about your acting career goals. I get it. Finding the best next career step is so much harder with temperatures hitting 100 degrees. Getting through the day is a challenge, let alone thinking about what you have lined up for the fall, right? Okay, listen up. Now is the best time to plan. Now is the best time to prepare. There is no time like the present to perform. Find out how to do all three on this episode of Casting Actors Cast.
It's time for another episode of Casting Actors Cast, insights for actors from a casting director. Here he is, your host, Jeffrey Dreisbach.
Well, hello. And welcome to today's episode of Casting Actors Cast. I'm casting director Jeffrey Dreisbach. Welcome to another episode. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm back after a couple of weeks. I had to take off a couple of weeks just because, life, right? Stuff has been going on. I've been incredibly busy and it's all good, but I just needed to take a little bit of a break. I've been doing the podcast for it's close to 3 years now without a break. And so I thought, well, you know what? I'm just going to do a couple of popular past episodes as I just get a little bit of a breather, get myself together, and I'm back. So it's so good that you are here. Listen, if you haven't checked out the website, please do so. It's castingactorscast.com. That's castingactorscast, all one word.com. There you're going to find all kinds of freebies, a couple of videos. One's a free video that you're going to get, like I said, for free, called Casting Secrets, What They Don't Tell You. There's also a place for a free book called Conversation Pieces Out of the Studio, the voiceover workshop for professional actors. That is also 100% free. Just by filling out that form that says dive into the talent pool. I'm working really hard. I'm doing my very best to get as many people interested in this podcast, these podcast videos, as possible. And I would love for you to be part of this amazing opportunity because there are so many people that are writing to me, over 75,000 downloads of the podcast. It's just very, very exciting. I would love for you to be a part of it. Also, to be a part of it, it would be so great if you could subscribe, if you could like. I really also appreciate the many, many great reviews I've received on Apple, iTunes. I can't thank you enough. And so maybe you might consider giving me a review as well. It would really help us out. So I appreciate all that you can do. Finally, here's my shout out to my good friends at Actors Connection. Actors Connection is totally online. This is an opportunity for you to get to meet and work with casting directors, agents, professionals in the industry. Go to actorsconnection.com/New York, and you're going to find all kinds of online opportunities for you to check out. Thank you for that. Hello to my good friends, Colleen and Tony. All right, let's just talk about this. Because it's such a weird, challenging time for a lot of us, right? The dog days of summer, and we're hearing all of these. I don't know about you, but I'm watching all of these weather reports on a daily basis, and it's like, oh my God, this is like an Armageddon situation where the temperature is exceeding 100 plus degrees and the terrible weather situations and fires and flooding. And I mean, it's just been bizarre. So it feels like everyday normal activities can become such a burden. And now here comes this crazy-ass casting director, Jeffrey, trying to make a suggestion about planning and preparing and performing. I get it. I know that there are some challenges there. But you know what? I would be remiss if I didn't share this information with you. And the reason that I want to share this information with you is that I think it's valuable to really kind of stretch yourself a little bit, especially during these hard times. Like I said, as a creative person, it's very, very challenging. It's very, very difficult to find things that are going to be motivating you for the next right thing for your career. So I thought these 3 Ps would be really useful to you to think about. Contemplate what I'm going to share with you today and see if there's some tidbits that you might take away, something that's going to help you move off of that place that is keeping you from achieving your goals. So here's how to plan, here's how to prepare, here's how to perform. These are simple steps that you can take. Sit back, relax, listen in as I share some of these thoughts with you. 1, I would love for you to make an assessment as to where you are now versus where you would like to be. In other words, you're saying to yourself, okay, there's not a lot going on, because you know what? There really isn't a lot going on unless you're in the summer theater gig right now. Maybe you're involved in something, which is fantastic. That's great. But maybe sort of the summer is slipping away and you see, gosh, you say to yourself, I haven't really gotten too much. So give yourself a break. But it was really, I think, useful for you to just think about, okay, here I am right now. Be in the moment. Where would you like to be? What is the next best thing for you? And that could be anything that you're looking toward as far as your career is concerned. So where you are now versus where you would like to be is all you have to do as step 1. Just think about where are those opportunities that make sense for me now. Step number 2. I would like you to use your imagination and project the next best thing for your career. In other words, I want you to dream big. I want you to think about big goals. The bigger they are, that's okay. It's only you talking to yourself. You can't beat yourself up for just projecting a little bit or using your imagination. So use your imagination to project the next best thing for your career. Like I said, this is a great time to dream big. Now, list those issues that are associated with the projections you create. So dream big, but then it's important that you list those issues down as a comprehensive list. There's just something about writing these things down. So as you write these things down, you're just kind of doing stream of consciousness. Decide what those goals are and just list those issues. And make sure that those issues are associated with those projections. Don't, for example, if you say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to be on Broadway in the fall. Okay, you can say that you want to be on Broadway in the fall. That's really, really great. But what are the issues that are associated with those projections? Well, in order to get on Broadway, I have to be able to be seen for the Broadway production, which means I have to fill in the blank. In other words, you can have the big projection, but balance the big picture. It's not about giving yourself reasons that it's not going to work. It's just about understanding the reasons. Number 4, write down this plan. It's got to be in writing. I'm telling you guys, there's just something about putting pen to paper, just making a list that is so freeing. It's a great exercise because you are forced to focus in on those goals and aspirations, but by putting them down on paper, they become more real. I was going to say they become realer. Okay, I didn't say it, but I was going to. So as they become more real for you, you can visualize them. It really becomes more substantial for you. So please write them down. Okay, those are the 4 steps for the planning phase. You've done all of your planning. Now the next thing to do, well, that's how to prepare. So here's how you can prepare that plan. Number 1, take the list and write a paragraph for each. Let me say that again. I want you to make a list and write a paragraph about the methods you plan to use for each item on the list. Now, I hope that makes sense. In other words, it's not just writing a paragraph, it's writing a paragraph about the methods. How are you going to achieve those plans? So you see, it's now putting a slightly different focus because you need to have a strategy. And now as you put those down, that strategy is going to become done in a paragraph form under each and every one of those ideas on your list. So those methods you're going to use for each item on the list, they go into paragraph form. Don't hold back. Again, I think it's really helpful if you make it a stream of consciousness for yourself and then just write some pages. Just write it down. Don't overthink it. Step number 2 for the preparation. I want you to add projected dates for the items that make sense and fit into your current situation. In other words, when are you going to start the plan? Now, I think personally it's not of value for you to say, well, I'm going to start this afternoon. It's like starting a diet. I think I'll start Monday. The idea is once you lay these things pen to paper, you've listed them out, you've also listed the ways in which you're going to achieve these plans, let them sit with you for a little while. Give it a little time, but do plan a date. Add a projected date for all of the things on your list that make sense, that can fit into your current life. See, if they can't fit into your current life and you've made all of these plans, you're just setting yourself up for failure. That make sense and fit into your current situation. Number 3, include the negative into your preparation. In other words, don't hold back on those things that you have to deal with on a negative basis. These are 3 common ones, I think. Money is one. Obviously, if it's going to take money to get the goals, then you have to kind of figure the money thing out, right? Or the next one would be time. Do you have the time? Can you carve out the time in order to set these goals and put that plan into action? Also, there might be some potential pitfalls. What might not work out, whether they're logistical or whether they are, you didn't plan on having your car break down. And so that's going to cost you money and there goes your plan. So I know that potential pitfalls are something not to just live in the negative about that, but just being prepared for different eventualities. I think that's going to be kind of useful for you. Number 4, I want you to give yourself time to evaluate the preparation and then set a date to implement to begin the plan. I said that a little bit earlier, but now you're setting a specific date. It's one thing to let all of these ideas and all of these plans sort of fester and live inside of you and get you excited and force you to evaluate the downsides as well as the upsides. But now you need to set a date. And then finally, after that, the last in the 3 P's, plan, prepare, is perform. Now, I'm not talking about performing like an actor performance. I'm talking about implementing the plan. I'm talking about performing those goals by making that date and living up to that and start those choices. So here's how to perform. Now, first and foremost, please don't overthink or rationalize. Just move into the right headspace for the plan. Again, it's when we overthink or when we talk about yeah, but. You know what the yeah, buts are? I really would like to take an acting class, but yeah, but I just don't have the money. Yeah, but I just don't have the time. Yeah, but I just fill in the blank. I don't want you to overthink it. Just make a decision that you're going to do the legwork that you can do now without overthinking or rationalizing. Just move into the right place for the plan. Number 2, I think this is a value. Stay open to alternative plans and deviations. Something might happen that takes you out of those plans and puts you into another plan. So it's really okay for alternative plans and deviations, I call them, to take over that planning and preparing. It's really okay. It's not like you've done any harm or damage. You've just moved into another phase. Embrace, this is number 3, embrace each of the plan as a significant movement towards the goal. So every time you embrace and start implementing and start performing the work that needs to be done to putting that plan in place, give yourself a hug. Give yourself the satisfaction that you are now moving toward your goals. Now, as I said about deviation, remember that plans change. So what do you do in that case? I want you to rinse and repeat. In other words, as plans change, rinse and repeat. Plan, prepare, perform. Plan, prepare, perform. So plans, they change quite frequently. It's something unexpected happens. That's okay. Now you go back to the planning stage. Then you go into the preparing stage, and then finally you perform those actions you've thought about. So I just don't want to give you sort of a lecture on how to do this. I really want to give you some real world examples based on me talking to actors all the time. And these are very, very common questions that I get. So these are, in my view, real world examples so that you have something substantive, good word, that you can use for the PPP method. So I've heard this many times. I'm going to get an agent or a manager to represent me. That's a great goal. I love the idea of that. Certainly an agent or a manager, if you're planning on having a professional career as an actor, an agent or a manager are part of your future. They're going to be part of your career. So if it feels like it's right, that's a great goal. So that's the plan. I'm going to get an agent or a manager to represent me. Okay, let's prepare. How do you prepare that? Well, do you have a list? Do you have a list of the agents and managers that you think might be really good? Oh, you don't live in a large metropolitan city like New York, Los Angeles, Chicago, or Atlanta? But you know what? Even in those smaller markets, we're talking like Kansas City. We're talking about Florida, Sarasota, Florida. We're talking about Tampa. We're talking about Phoenix, Arizona. We're talking about Seattle. Guess what? They all have agents or managers. So you don't have to say, I have to move in order to get an agent, and I'm not going to get an agent unless I move. You don't even go there. I'm going to get an agent. The planning part means you're going to make a list of those agencies that are closest to you, that make the most sense for where you're living now, and you're going to do whatever research it takes so that you can go into the performing stage, which is making an introduction to those people. And I'm not just talking about an email. I'm talking about picking up the damn phone. I'm talking about letting those folks know who you are, what you've done, and what your goal is. I'm looking for representation. I've been an actor and I've been in training for several years, or I've just finished graduating from school. Whatever. I'm currently in a production that I would like to invite you to see as I'm looking for representation. Those are really great forward-moving, performing things you can do for your goals. Here's another one that I hear from actors all the time. I'm going to investigate the upcoming theater seasons at a theater that I want to work at. Now that's a great plan. If you've got a professional theater in the area and you love doing stage work, that's an excellent plan. So how do you prepare that? Oh, maybe you need to find out what that season is. Maybe you can go online. Maybe you can check out their website. Maybe you can see what's happening at that professional theater that you want to work at. Maybe it's a regional theater. Maybe it's a nonprofit LORT theater, maybe it's a community theater. It doesn't matter. But if you investigate just a little bit to find out what are those seasons, is there something that is right for you? If you're not sure, let's say they're doing a play that you've never heard of before. What? Right. Plan. Read the play. Take a look at why they've made the choices that they've made at those theaters, and then you can Move forward into the performing stage by letting them know that you are interested, you are available, and you know the work, and you think that you would be an excellent choice for whatever character. Is that theater part of a network of other theaters? Does that theater have a casting person, somebody who casts? Maybe that's an entree into figuring that out. So now you see how planning, preparing, and then performing can really get those goals and get you off of that, August dog days of summer situation. Here's the last one I want to share with you that I hear quite frequently, is that actors will say, I will get an audition with a casting director who casts film and television. That's great. I think that's a great goal. I think that that's part of the plan. That's what you want. That's what you think is the next best thing for you. Fantastic. How do you prepare? Well, the preparation, of course, is what are you binging now that you really respond to, that you really like on television? Or what films have you seen? Now you need to go to IMDb. You need to figure out who's the casting director on that project. You see, that kind of research, by figuring out who that casting director is, will lead you to the performing part of it, which is reaching out to those casting directors. Maybe send them a snail mail letter, maybe an email, whatever. But why don't you let them know how wonderful you thought their work was in casting it? Maybe you have an additional reason for making contact. Not only do you like this production, but you also have a goal in mind that you would love to audition for a film and television project. Here's my resume. Have an additional reason to reach out to somebody. That don't make it necessarily emotional. Remember that this is a business, and so approaching it in a business way is smart. But how do you think casting directors grow relationship with actors? It starts with getting to know the talent. It starts with getting to know how that actor works. It's getting to perhaps see that actor in a production or a performance. Maybe your resume needs a little bit of retooling. All of those things are part of the planning stage so that you can be ready when you reach out and contact and make headway with a casting director. There was one more I wanted to share with you, just kind of came to mind, but I hear this as frequently as well. I'm looking for a new acting teacher for the fall. I'm not sure how to do that. Well, that's exciting, first of all. I always believe that every actor should be in an ongoing class training situation, whatever it may be. So think about those classes that you know that are available. Can you audit those classes? Can you talk to other actors who've taken those classes? When does that new round of classes begin? So maybe it's time to make an appointment to meet with the person who does the class. Maybe it's time to sit in on that class and take some notes. Find out if this is a class that feels right to you. Are they covering areas that are helpful for you? Fantastic. Those are great things that you can do to plan. And then the preparation is what? Picking up the phone, going to those classes, introducing yourself, and see if that becomes a great fit for a new class for the fall. No matter what you choose to use as a significant career goal, using these 3 Ps, I promise you, will accelerate your achievement of whatever goals you set. Because you know what? Most of the time, your choices are driven by emotions and fantasy because, why? You're a creative being. That makes perfect sense. But now, with these new tools, you can alter the dream of being an actor into the reality of what an actor needs to do. Plan. Prepare. Perform. Thank you for joining me. I'm Jeffrey Dreisbach, and this is Casting Actors Cast. See you next time.
Thank you for joining Casting Actors Cast. Please don't forget to review, like, and share Casting Actors Cast wherever you get your podcast videos. Thanks. I'm Megan Grace Martinez.